What's up, guys? Welcome back to Articulate with Steve McJones, and I'm your host, Steve McJones. Am I, though? This week's topic, and I think this month, I don't know, I'm still figuring it out, is identity. And I got a little deep and sad boy on the last one, and I hope you can, if you enjoyed it, I'm glad you did, but if you didn't, I'm trying to go in a new direction and be a lot more lighthearted, and yeah, so I had on this guest. It was perfect for the new tone that I'm setting, and I think this is exactly what I wanted to accomplish with this podcast. It's at least going more in the direction with this interview. It's going more in the direction that I want. So, yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to hear it. It's my friend that I met through a mutual friend. He is a designer. He is a fashion major here at OU, I think, something like that. And he does really cool art. He has his own brand called Creamy, and he does mostly like t-shirts, sweatshirts, but they also mix in some shoes and stickers and just cool stuff with his design on it and his style. And they have characters now, and they're releasing seasons. I think they actually did a couple mixtapes for it too. His name is Stephen Barrett, and I had a really good time recording this with him. Enjoy. 3, 2, 1, and here we are. Articulate with Steve McJones, with Stephen Barrett.
You're not wrong.
All right, Stephen, first question for you. You trying to smack this shit?
I am trying to smack this shit. Is this a rubber bong? Or a rubber bowl?
Sure is, dude. I got it
this is cool.
Dude, $12 on 420.
Really?
Yeah, for a sale. And it came with, there's like a little...
You can take it out the bottom out?
Yeah, you put like dabs or like extra keef or anything in there. Yeah, it came with the stick, but obviously I lost.
Yeah, I mean, I would have as well.
But silicone, so it doesn't break, which is perfect for me, being me. And then also it's glow in the dark, which is just there's just so many things packed in a little...
Really? You think that's bad for our lungs?
Nah, it feels clean.
It actually does feel clean.
It tastes clean, yeah. But yeah, man, I'm excited to have you on here
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Stephen runs Creamy, and I thought, as a person who is sensible in fashion and style, he'd be cool to talk about identity, because that's the theme for this month, and I don't know, I'm just ready to get into it with you. So
yeah.
The real first question is about fashion and about style. You're big into it. I mean, look at your shoes right now. There's so much color. I'm surprised you're wearing the same socks today, to be honest with you.
I mean, I wear white socks every day now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, usually you switch it up and not wear the same ones. You got the short shorts, dude. I just, every time I see you around campus, I respect you, man. It's like man, the swagger emanating.
Thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, so how much do you think fashion and style plays into somebody's identity?
I mean, I think they coexist together. I don't think you can have fashion without identity, and I don't think you can have identity without fashion, or at least clothing. Unless you identify as a nudist, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, personally for me, throughout like high school and stuff, I was always just given hand-me-downs and base level like Plato's Closet clothes that I just didn't really think fashion was a big thing, and I always saw like clothing as materialistic in a way. But now that I've grown up, especially in college, you see all the different types of styles and everything, and it just kind of it does kind of give you an indication of who the person is going to be going into the whatever conversation,
whatever interaction you're about to do. Yeah, no, it definitely does, and I think as you kind of as you said, as you get older, generally as people get older, and it depends, that's a scale. When I say get older, you could be talking about someone entering in 5th grade and then leaving in 8th grade, and them having, caring legitimately a lot about what they look like and how they dress.
Definitely. Like fighting necklaces?
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
And silly bands. Yeah.
Dude, jinx.
Or you could be talking about someone who you know, all throughout growing up and into high school didn't care about like how they dress or whatnot, and then they get to college and then they start thinking about it more.
Or even like another thing, I read a book on Hollywood just in general, like in the industry out there, and apparently, you know, how you dress when you move out there, like you have to dress, they call it pseudo casual, which is you know, you want to look like you're comfortable and casual, but everything must be like expensive. If you want to be like a player in the game,
right,
you have to dress for the game. Isn't that kind of like fucked up?
Yeah, yeah, that is kind of fucked up. I think that also is like, I don't know. I'm someone who I don't really care about like expense. I think I understand it, and I mean, I definitely want expensive things, but I think in fashion, there's such, like, this idea that it's either, like, high-end designer or it's nothing.
Right.
But there's such, like, a broad, like, category.
Yeah, I mean, and now, like, even thrift shops are getting bigger, so, you know, like, that's the style now is to look like, I guess... You know, respect to Macklemore for... No! I'm just kidding. But, I don't know. But it's definitely evolved.
That song made that idea blow up.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved from that. Again, and I feel like the people that do wear, you know, the thrift shop clothing probably do hate that song. And
I mean...
Or, you know, it's kind of a meme, I guess.
It's a meme. It was a meme back in the day.
It was
a rough time in hip-hop.
True. Yeah.
Fuck.
No, you're good, man. I think we basically covered that question. Was just how it plays into somebody's identity. You know, there's more to get into. Like, your style is kind of, you know, unique, hipster, right? Would you agree that it's kind of... Yes. Yeah, so, like, how much... I mean, including Creamy, that if you could wear all Creamy stuff all the time, would you... Creamy is his company, by the way.
Probably not, just because I like other brands. Or not even necessarily other brands. Like, I pronounce brands really badly. There's just other clothing that I like that I know, like, is not going to come from me.
Right.
So...
Yeah, so how much of your, like, personality do you think shows in your art, in your fashion and style?
I think a lot. Because... I guess for me, I have always wanted to dress like slightly outside of the norm, and I can't like attribute that to anything. If I attribute it to anything, it's probably because I like attention.
I mean, honestly, that's where all art kind of comes from.
Yeah,
but here's the thing: one of my good friends pointed out to me. I always saw it as like even like comedy is like wanting to make people laugh because you want attention, you know. You
know, it definitely is.
Yeah, exactly. But the way the way I always like made up for it was like kind of saying that at least it's giving somebody a smile, even if it is for a selfish reason. It's like putting a smile on somebody's face.
You're not wrong.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. But when I told this girl, Anna, shout out Anna, I don't know, Anna Suberling, she told me it was like it's more like an art form. Like, don't even see it. It's more of like an expression, you know. It may come from that area of wanting attention, but it's more of, you know, expression and kind of coming from a better place where it's like you shouldn't. At first, it might have been like because you care about how other people see you and want that attention, but now I think the point of growing up is kind of developing it into something that you don't care whether people like it or not. You're gonna do what you want to do.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. And I think that some people, you know, everyone likes attention. And then there's some people who can channel that through a creative outlet. And then there's people who just like, we all know the people who don't do that.
Don't do that, yeah.
But, yeah. And so to go back to your question, like, how do I think my personality shines through or like can be seen through my work? Yeah, and so talking about how I always feel like I have to dress like slightly out of the norm. I also have always just like felt, and I have no reason for this, I'm a straight white male, but I've always felt like I was just like slightly outside of the norm, and I think so that probably, I don't know, in my head that those two things are related to each other.
Yeah.
And so then when I'm doing any type of artwork or for our clothing specifically, like I try to approach the design process as creating something that is completely like original and that'll stand out. And any kind of like approach to any artwork that I do.
Right.
And I guess that's anyone's approach to art.
Well, yeah, but not everybody achieves it. Personally, I think as well as you do. You do. Again, it is kind of a because the thing with art is you do want to appeal to people, right? It can't be so original that it's just for you and your niche of people. You do want to be able
you have to be able to appeal.
Right. So, and again, there's a whole thing with originality. Like, is anything original anymore? Not really. But it's still like, just because it's kind of the same thing as saying that there's not really any new personalities anymore. Like, yeah, everybody's a different type. You can categorize personalities, and everybody's like, in general, like that person. But everybody has their own style, and I think the backgrounds, like you said, kind of your background of standing out, come out with that art, and it may be based off of something else, but it still is your own spin on it, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. See, I think about this stuff all the time, to be honest. It just
that's cool.
I
should put more thought into it. Sometimes I'm just a big flaw is like I'm always just like on go, like I'm always on. So I'm never sometimes taking the time to think through some ideas. I'm just like, all right, I gotta get this out now because I have to do this afterwards and then this afterwards.
Yeah, well, and that's good. I think the more you work on like your creativity when you have time, I think it should translate into an automatic thing when you are like kind of just trying to get it done.
Yeah. It's a good point. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah. Well, well, I don't know. Just
right. No, I'm preach.
Cool. Yeah. Well, it kind of goes with this question. Like,
okay.
At what point did you realize that this brand was your identity? Did you just like start doing it, or like just to start you're like, oh, I want to do this and start doing it, or did you did it take some time during the work to like understand and feel your expression through it, or was it just always you're like, okay, this is me, this is what I'm doing?
Damn. I think it's continuous. There was a point where I realized this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And then I think I'm always... the brand and my identity are also always continuously growing together.
Right.
And so I think... man, like... this is just like a long story. Essentially, I took...
Dude, we need... we're here for stories, man.
Yeah, that's true. I took a semester off of school because I really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and lived at home for a bit, worked at a deli, which is why I hate meat. This is a complete sidebar. Not the only reason why I hate meat, but
yeah, I mean the industry,
the cows, the
cows.
methane. And then I took a 50-day long outward bound trip, where I was off the grid, and I was learning outdoor leadership skills, but I also was really just trying to figure out, who I was, so like hitting that identity right there, identity crisis, and the second thing, or B, fuck, I forgot what I started with. Was it B?
Yeah.
No, did I say A first?
Well, we started with the weed, and that's where, the confusion comes in.
Oh, the confusion's on. Yeah. It's continuous now.
Right.
No, but,
B,
I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do just in general, like with my time, with my life. Mm-hmm. And then I worked out west for a while.
It's unfortunate how those things, I feel like, come into your life at the same time. Like figuring out, first of all, who you are in college, but then that's also the point where you got to figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, what you want to do for the rest, and not necessarily like the rest of your life. Like you can change it up.
Yeah,
but it is
like the major thing.
Or like the first thing you have to do.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, dude, it is hard. I think
it's right at the same moment, I feel like.
Yeah, and for me, that's why I had to like take a semester off, because it felt too fast.
Right. No, I respect
and
that.
I think everyone should before even they go to college. Every high school student should take a year. They should just work.
Right.
Or take a trip. Like work and take a trip.
Dude, I had a friend, Lucas. I have a friend, Lucas, that he, rest in peace. But no, he didn't go to school for the first year, and he went to like Europe and Spain and Amsterdam, obviously, and dude, like honestly, I could see like when he came back, kind of you can tell when somebody's different, especially when I was going through my first year of freshman in school, and you can tell when somebody's kind of, he was a lot more settled into who he was, but he was more excited to be back, and he went to college, the year after, he was excited for it. So I think, again, once you kind of figure out, at least a starting point to figure out your identity, it's like...
Well, you're more confident, and then being in college is pretty much all about your confidence level. Right. In most things. And it's the more confident you are.
It's easier said than done, to be honest, with that constant voice in your head being like, is this acceptable? Like, this is...
Exactly.
Right, so if you remember the original question, was there a point that you realized?
Yes. So, just really over that trip, I can't say I was climbing to the top of this mountain and I knew, but it took how many months? I mean, it was pretty much like 9 months, maybe a little less. I don't feel like doing the math.
Right.
But to come to this
long
conclusion,
enough, dude. Yeah, that's okay.
And I think that for me, it took me a while to even realize that. Like, it probably took me most of last year to realize that
you came to the conclusion.
That I came to that conclusion, and it took me 9 months to come to that conclusion.
Right.
Whereas a lot of people think that it's just going to be this big aha moment. And I think that also plays into just like a lot of people's concept that things just need to happen immediately, and I still buy into that. So it's important to step back.
Right. No, that's why I feel like reflection is important. Like in every day, just because you can't realize something, like even if you had an epiphany and it feels like a little different, you have to be able to step back and realize that you had that moment where you went through a changing thing. And again, so I spent all of last year with my older brother Patrick, who's 27, and we hung out all the time, and we would talk about stuff like this, like learning and growing, and he was the one that got me into books, like I told you.
Right, yeah.
And I just feel like that reflection and kind of just talking about life and the experience of growing, and again, like finding out your identity is, again, kind of the point of this podcast, but specifically, like, it helps me. I didn't realize what I went through that year until, over the summer, or like at the beginning of this year, really. I came back to school and I was like, oh shit, like
I learned a lot.
Yeah, I feel ready actually for this. Like, I'm in it, like I'm good to go now, kind of. And it hasn't been exactly like how I thought it was gonna go the first couple weeks. It was actually kind of rough for a little bit there.
I believe,
and even that, I thought I was ready to come back, and then the fact that it, I was like, oh, it didn't go as like how I thought it was gonna be, and I'm different than what I thought my identity was already.
It's constantly changing. It's gonna constantly change. I get excited thinking about now. So I used to be afraid of, I don't know how I was going with that train of thought, but I'm excited about getting older and becoming more confident, like, in yourself. Because I think that's just like the natural process of getting older.
I was talking with my parents even about the podcast last weekend, and they were just like, I mean, don't talk about doing this stuff, just do it. Just do it, and it's hard for, I feel like, kids in general, but us right now, to learn to get rid of that kind of second thing where, you grow into this mindset of just, okay, I trust my personality, I'm just going to go with the first thing that I think is right,
Yeah.
And including identity, like even it's small decisions too, like what you're going to wear in the morning, and who you're going to...
That's a stressful time.
Yeah, I know for you, I've seen your room, dude. But it's just interesting. But again, you do have to realize you still should think about decisions, because you'll end up with a celebrity for a president if people just go on the first. Which, I don't know. I don't want to really get into Trump, but there's people who like him, and they like him for their reasons, which I understand. Okay, but you have to admit it is kind of like. Just weird. Weird.
It's bizarre. It's the strangest thing. I can't wait to fucking tell young kids one day that we lived through through
The
this.
day Trump got
that we
elected.
lived through this shit. They'll be like, no way.
If we're alive
yeah,
by then.
It was horrible. Yeah, we might be dead.
Yeah, within.
Yeah. You know, fuck, we don't even know.
Okay. Well, that kind of one of my questions was, do you feel like you've completely figured out who you are, or like, are you confident in who you are?
Confident, for the most part. I mean, everyone battles with their degrees of, like, self-doubt and lack of confidence, but it depends on how you manage that. So I have days where I manage it really well, and then I have days where I don't manage it well. But I think for the most part, then you look at that over time, I think I manage it pretty well.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, what was the other part of the question?
I mean, it was just, are you confident in yourself, and do you feel like you've completely figured out who you are?
Oh, no. I don't think I've completely figured out who I am. No fucking way.
I don't think anybody ever really knows.
Yeah, I don't think you ever really know. I definitely, probably as you get older, it becomes more solidified as you become more, like, stationary. So I think people then, you know, so, for example, you get married, you settle into a city, you raise a family, you're becoming more stationary. Maybe you become more like your identity becomes more settled. But if you keep moving,
that's a good.
I don't know.
No, your identity becomes more settled.
thought.
no, that's a real thought, man. It's like there's people, you know, all throughout high school, I was like, no, I don't want to have kids. I'm never having kids or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And then you start getting into like a relationship that you're serious about, and it is called settling down.
And I think what also is a big part of like what causes people to like stop maybe growing like in their identity is
the feeling of comfort and settling down.
But that I think like originates from getting a job. Because you get a job, you move somewhere usually, and unless you're accepting a job where you're going to be moving around a lot,
right?
And then you settle into like an area, and then
you just start to like want. So maybe it's like
I don't even agree with this argument.
Well, I'm kind of with you.
In my head, I'm totally like, bro, this makes no sense.
No, I'm kind of with you because you move into a new city, right, for a job, and you don't know anybody. You know, all your high school buddies aren't there.
Right. Everything that you grew up, everything you knew for, you know, it's probably around 20 to 25 years is gone.
So I think,
unless like, you stay where you grew up.
No, but then
your identity isn't growing. Like you're
exactly.
That's permanently stationary.
Exactly. So it all depends on the individual and how they react to situations, right? So if they move into a new city and all they can think about is that comfort that they had from home, you know, and that settled in feeling that you had while you were growing up, they just strive for that and they force things, you know, that. They're kind of like, okay, I want this relationship. I need like a best friend. I need like a group of buddies to go out and drink with, and they try to establish that immediately. And then it just spirals into them maybe finding those people, but then that's it. You know, they're just comfortable.
I think and then I think that just plays into everyone's. I mean, it's personal interest because that's all you want. I guess. I think a lot of people just become stationary and complacent, honestly, by, like, their own free will. Because I think a lot of us don't realize that you can really do whatever the fuck you want with your life.
Yeah, I talked about that
in the first one. And that, like, resonates a lot with me because, I mean, I used, like, so before I started working on Creamy, I watched fucking hella Netflix, like, I went out a lot. Like, I didn't really... Like, looking back at it now, like, I didn't do anything. And...
Dude, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and now, like, I'm always busy. But I've also grown so much more.
Right.
And I think a lot of people... And I have... I wouldn't say lost, but I've distanced myself from a lot of people because I've become more busy and I'm doing more things.
Yeah. Definitely.
And they don't.
Like, thanks for making time to come out here.
Well, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
And, well, you're doing something.
Right, man. That's what I'm saying. So, I get people, though. Like, I don't think any less of people that don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, you know how you have all this time to do it? I don't think any less of people because, you know, we are in college. This is a period for kind of still figuring that out. And, like, while on one hand it may be counterproductive, especially if you're watching same show, the same show, like 15 times in a row. You're not learning anything. Like,
is this a subtweet to all the people that have watched Friends like 8 times?
Well, you know, I was talking about The Office. Hey, listen, both good shows. No disrespect, but after the third time,
disrespect towards Friends. I've never even seen it.
and you just started. I've never even seen it either. Really?
I've seen episodes. I've never watched it straight.
Yeah, dude, it's. I think that's one of the good popular shows.
I know I need to.
Well, yeah, it's just one of the better ones because first of all, you know, that it wasn't something that had been done a lot in the media. It was very groundbreaking, but also the emotional journey that you go from season 1 to where they're cringy as fuck and and it's bad, and to, you know, the end where
you don't even give a fuck about it anymore because Michael Scott's gone.
Yeah, true. But to get like ramping up to the point where you start crying, you know, where he's leaving and you've experienced something, even if it's on a minute level, you've experienced this emotional journey with these people.
Yeah.
So
you're not wrong.
Yeah, so I think there's a point where, you know, you're allowed to sit down and watch Netflix, and that's what I did. I always just watch movies and TV shows throughout.
You gotta unwind. Yeah, you gotta have. It's a good way to unwind.
Yeah, and yourself. You know, video games or whatever
like
your hobby is. Even meditation is probably the best one for it.
That's what we should all be doing.
We should all be meditating, but it is a form of meditation in itself, you know. And I just think that just being able to do those things, but in a way, like, again, I've turned the whole movie. I didn't think it was very productive just sitting around watching movies, but I knew I liked it. And now I've turned it into this thing where, I think I could write scripts if I wanted to, you know? And
there you go.
Before I even read a book on how to structure a script, I wrote one just to, like, mess around, like, see if I can do this for fun or whatever. And then reading the book, looking through the structure, it's like, I kind of did this. Like, I actually... So it's just like having that background. So I think the things that you use as that meditation, kind of like that chill out vibe, should still contribute to something that you like. You may not realize it yet, but it should be something that you enjoy. Like, fully.
Oh, well, I'm with you.
And people, you got.
And so what I was gonna say is that I've instead of watching, when I started doing this, it was like, all right, instead of watching Netflix, like, I'm gonna work on clothes.
Right.
And then when I started working on clothes all the time and, like, looking... Now it's like when I want to take a break, like, I'll just look through websites, like clothing.
Okay,
like, and I'll
that's what I was going to say.
Fashion,
you just look through stuff.
And I've just shifted my focus.
Man.
And I shifted my focus to something that I like. Cool. Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, I'm with you. And so, like, but even people that like sports, you know, it might seem kind of like I don't know. I try to defend both sides.
They're dumber human beings. I'm just kidding. You can't say that.
No, well, honestly, think about the strategy and, like, the determination it takes to get to that point. Even is an intelligence in its own, I feel.
I agree.
And then watching it and trying to make teams from these people, these kids, and
that's a skill I don't possess.
It's a lot, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even know how that relates to
I
identity.
don't either, but it's cool.
It's
a good tangent.
I guess, it's a good tangent. But the whole thing is that, like, whatever you're doing, just get into. Like, I knew this guy. He was like, I was trying to just even have a regular conversation with him. I was like, so what do you like? You know, what do you like to do? And he's like, I don't know. Like, I was like, what do you do with your free time? And he's just like, I kind of just like watch sports. And I was like, well, all right, what do you like about sports? He's like, I don't know. It's like, dude, get into it.
Because you know what he's probably doing while he's also watching sports? He's on his phone.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say getting creamy, but yeah.
I mean, I guess if that's what he's into.
That'd be weird. But yeah, no, they're on their phone, and it's like that double. You get 2 channels, but you get half a channel with each. You know, half a phone and half a. So I think what you should really focus on is getting into your passion to help figure out your identity. And it's 100%. It's something to talk to. So it's like, even if you're into sports, there's podcasts about sports. There's people who play sports that have shows and be able to like talk about it with me, have an identity in a way, it's like,
fuck this dude who couldn't talk about sports, but all he did was sports.
Hey, listen, yeah. Hey, listen, I think I got to him though. I kind of told him that.
You got him?
I think I got to him. I woke him up. I was like, dude, just like, I'll send you this podcast if you want me to.
All right, word. Hell yeah.
So I think that's what we should all be trying to do, man, is like,
I agree.
Don't look down on people. Try, look at people like, everybody has potential,
You're a bad person than me. Nah, but you're right. I totally agree.
No, it's hard, man. Easier
hard.
said than done.
It is.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's just something to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
And maybe, you don't have to make it a priority, but think about it as like,
a little
something on the list. So again, this is all centered around one theme, so it makes sense that these relate to each other. But in what ways do you think style affects how you fit into society? Just like clothing and stuff like that.
How does clothing help you fit into society?
Or affect. It doesn't even have to help you, it's like...
Or like affect society?
Affect... we'll go with that.
Or what is your intent?
Well, I mean, I don't really have an intent writing down these questions.
Okay.
It's just kind of, whatever you think about it, because I want to know how your brain works. Like, do you think that style affects how you fit into society? It doesn't have to be how do you, but...
it definitely does. Because I think you can either style yourself in a sense where you want to fit in with whatever the current norm is at the time.
Yeah.
Or you do the opposite.
Or like there's different communities.
And then within that, what is normal at the time, there's different sub-communities that you probably then would want to identify with. So usually that then corresponds with how you're dressing to identify.
Right.
So I definitely think it helps you kind of.
So how does it affect society?
How does it affect society?
That's what you were going with it.
Yeah, I don't even fucking know. How does fashion... Well, I think, if you look at... Okay, so what I first immediately thought of is... And I don't know if this is society then affecting fashion, but back in the early 1900s, everyone dressed very conservatively.
Right.
And obviously much longer before that. But
only that time period.
Only that time period. Everyone else naked.
What is it with you and Nudists today? Come on.
I just got nudity on my mind. But the Earth started in the 1900s.
Right.
And everyone dressed very conservatively.
Right, of course.
But you look till now, style and dress got progressively much looser, much more casual, much just more liberal, whatever the fuck word you want to use.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a cool rabbit hole to go down, is that did we start dressing more casually because, and then that affect because now we're much more casual society-wise than we were
back in the day.
Looking at this time on this timeline.
Right. And
so which affected which? Is I guess
which affected which?
Damn.
Dropping bombs, dude. That's a good one.
I don't know.
Yeah, no. It's hard to think about which affected which,
I didn't articulate that idea.
Well, I'm with you, but it's just I have to process it.
Yeah.
I think also is the way we dress and the way that society is immediately correlated like that? Does it naturally happen that way?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that do we make the effort to, or is it just now at this point, it's just natural for us to just be like, I'm wearing sweatpants today. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, dude.
So do you think in the future, everybody's
gonna be naked?
You're right. It was there for the whole time. We just didn't see it.
We are just going back. We are going back to being just primal monsters,
but more intelligent primal monsters with computers.
With computers, we're fucking robots. So that's cool.
All right. So just one last question. Relating to the whole nudity thing and identity thing. Not really, but your company is called Creamy. So where did this name come from? Is Is it because of the implication, Steve?
It is not. God damn, I've really dug a hole for myself on this podcast. No. So, even before wanting to do, like, a clothing line or just pursue art in general, I was just trying to push creamy as a word. And when I say that, like, it was only with, like, 4 people. I was trying to make them say it. Yeah. But then hoping it would catch on.
Yeah, no, I know people.
And then when I started coming up with creamy, originally it was creamy vibes, but then
oh, really?
I realized that I didn't even realize. I was kind of like told someone was basically just like, that's kind of like a dated, like that could be a dated word.
Yeah, vibe is like a fad word.
Yeah, and I was like, shit, you're right. So I dropped it. But creamy in itself,
it's like the Facebook.
I don't know. To me, it just represents good things. Like I can't think of anything that's bad that's creamy. For the most part, we could go down a weird place.
No. Yeah.
But
no, I'm with you.
And its synonyms are like luxurious.
Really?
Like velvety. Yeah, you gotta look up the synonyms for creamy. They're good. They're good words.
Yeah, sounds good.
And it just is a word that I feel like gets stuck. It can get stuck in your head, or it's memorable, I guess. Is what I'm
like catchy.
To say. It's catchy.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love saying it. I probably said it like 5 times on this podcast. Though. But would you say it's a word that you identify with?
Yes, I do now, and I don't know if I really planned on it that way. But I always, like, in the back of my mind knew it would happen.
Yeah.
Because you kind of become synonymous with what you're doing.
You don't realize.
And then if you put actual word to it, then that word gets associated.
This whole thing, what we were talking about.
Yeah.
If you start
your identity.
You don't even realize that you're forming your identity until it becomes your identity.
It becomes your identity.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good place to end. Honestly.
That's a really good place to end.
All right, man.
Damn. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out here.
Yeah.
All right, so that was that. I hope you're inspired to become a nudist now. Thanks, Stephen, again for coming out, and have a good one, guys. I'll see you next week.